Winter has always tested human ingenuity. Long before we had synthetic insulation and all those high-tech duvets, our ancestors, well, they perfected the art of staying warm during the harshest nights. If you're watching this in the dead of winter, feeling the cold creep through your walls, there's actually a lot to learn from how people managed warmth centuries ago. Oh, and before we dive in, make sure to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and leave a comment with your own winter survival tips. Your contributions really do keep this community alive. Pre-modern beds were layered for maximum heat retention. Unlike the modern duvets we're used to, which rely on just a single bulky layer, historical beds actually used multiple layered materials to trap heat efficiently. Back in the 18th and 19th centuries, European households often had mattresses stuffed with straw, feathers or down. These layers weren't just haphazardly thrown together either. Families would layer dense materials at the bottom for insulation, softer down or wool in the middle for comfort, and a top cover that could be removed or adjusted depending on the temperature. This kind of layering created a natural gradient of warmth that, honestly, modern duvets rarely match. You can replicate this method today by stacking a wool blanket beneath a thick duvet and topping it off with a feather quilt. The effect is a sort of microclimate around your body that holds warmth far better than just one thick modern comforter. Bedclothes were customized for personal warmth. Pre-modern sleepers didn't rely on a one-size-fits-all blanket, not at all. Instead, they used multiple coverings that were tailored to their own body and the season. In Victorian Europe, it was common for households to have several smaller blankets, sometimes even layered within a larger quilt, so each person could adjust their own heat level. This personal customization allowed for more precise temperature control than what you get with most modern duvets. You can apply this principle by using modular bedding. Media group: thick wool blanket on a bed, close-up of natural fibre wool blanket as base bedding. Stock distribute equally, a base wool blanket for consistent insulation, a mid-layer quilt or duvet for added warmth, and a light cover on top for those nights that aren't quite as cold. Switching layers instead of relying on a single blanket ensures you're never too hot or too cold, which is a strategy that's often overlooked today. Feather and down filling was arranged for heat zones. Modern duvets often have uniform filling, which honestly doesn't account for how our bodies generate and lose heat. Pre-modern feather beds, particularly in the 19th century, were packed strategically. Heavier feathers, or down, were concentrated under the torso and feet, those areas that are really prone to heat loss, while lighter area filling covered the shoulders and arms. This created a temperature gradient that kept the core warm without causing overheating. To adapt this now, you might consider using a duvet or blanket combination where thicker layers are placed under and around your midsection, with lighter layers over the upper body. This approach maintains core warmth efficiently, even in rooms that aren't very well heated. Bed curtains and positioning added thermal protection. Beyond the bedding itself, historical winter beds often incorporated architectural solutions. Four-poster beds with curtains or canopies were standard in colder climates. The curtains trapped body heat, creating a small, warm chamber around the sleeper. positioning the bed away from drafts against an interior wall and sometimes elevating it off cold floors added another layer of insulation. Modern rooms can replicate this by using heavy curtains around the bed or even creating a simple canopy with thick fabric to block drafts. Even a small tent-like structure over your sleeping area can drastically reduce heat loss, proving that ancient strategies often outshine modern convenience. Natural fibers, really outperformed synthetic alternatives. Pre-modern beds relied entirely on natural fibers like wool, cotton and down. These materials, they trap heat naturally and allow for airflow, which prevents condensation and dampness. Those can sap warmth overnight, you see. Modern synthetic duvets often promise the same effect, but they can fall short under extreme conditions. Wool, in particular, retains heat even when it's a bit damp, a property that was highly prized by soldiers and travellers in pre-modern Europe and America. For winter survivalists, adding wool blankets or quilts to your bed setup is a simple way to reproduce centuries-tested insulation while staying dry and warm. You don't need a museum, really, to benefit from these old techniques. Start with a layered system, wool or heavy cotton beneath a down or feather quilt, topped with a lighter blanket for adjustability. Arrange the thicker layers where your body loses heat fastest, especially at the feet and midsection. Use a canopy, curtain, or even a thick wall-hung tapestry to block drafts around your sleeping area. Choose natural fibers over synthetics whenever possible. These methods don't just improve comfort, they reduce the energy your home needs to stay warm, making them practical for modern preppers and, honestly, anyone experiencing extreme winter conditions. Understanding how pre-modern beds functioned can, completely change your winter strategy. While we often think modern duvets are the pinnacle of warmth technology, they simply cannot replicate centuries of trial and error in bed construction. Layering, strategic filling, and environmental control. These are the principles that kept entire generations alive through harsh winters. Applying them today can make your nights far warmer, more comfortable, and less reliant on electric heaters. In survival terms, mastering the old ways of bedding is just as crucial as food storage or fire maintenance. These strategies are not just historical curiosities. They're practical solutions for anyone facing freezing nights. By combining knowledge of ancient bedding with modern materials, you can create a sleeping environment that outperforms most store-bought duvets. If you found this guide valuable, go on and subscribe to Warfield Prepper Chronicles for more history-driven survival tips, like this video for more winter insights, and leave a comment with your own experiences or questions. Share this with fellow history buffs and survivalists. Everyone deserves a warm, safe night in winter.